be on your podcast now. Podcast, let's go.
What's up, guys? You're back with Mike.
You got Trev.
You got Joe.
Classic intro. We keep it the same every time, but welcome to the podcast.
Good.
Okay.
Actually, open it up, Micah. What are we doing today?
So this was Trevor's idea for those of you who don't find this interesting, and if you find it interesting, you can give it credit to him. We are doing this episode on the richest man who ever lived. And who is that?
Well, most people tend to think that because our capitalism has progressed so much that there's some pretty rich dudes. People think like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. But actually, the richest man to ever live was a 14th century African king who basically ran the gold trade. And his name was Mansa Musa.
The guy who founded all those phone schemes. No.
So, Micah, tell us a little bit about who he was.
Well, he,
Well, first, what do they estimate his net worth to be?
I read a couple things, and they say they can't really, put a finger on it. But as far as, money goes, he apparently had around 300 to 400 billion, that he could, in bills, but in currency that he could spend. But overall, it was, over 4.6 trillion.
Yeah, so that's what, his network of his empire. So he was the king of North Africa, like I was saying, and he basically was like the dictator. So that's how it was back in the day, where there wasn't democracy. It was kings and emperors and stuff like that. So basically, all the wealth of the nation gets attributed to him, which is kind of unfair when you talk about net worth, because he just happens to be him. It's not like he was like a financial genius or anything. It's just the taxation and the wealth of the nation gets his name slapped right on there. So,
And he reportedly inherited, 140 billion or something like that. And then after that, he was able to kind of expand his...
And the way that you would grow wealth is because there wasn't that much...
Stock market, yeah.
Because there wasn't that... I was just about to say how there was no,
investment
and stuff like that. So basically, you'd conquer the nation that borders you, and you just keep moving. And that's how you amass wealth and amass power. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the top 10 list, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates are on there somewhere. But most of the time, you'll see dictators of countries with the most money and most power, because that all the people, all their wealth is accrued under one name. So you see like the Tsar of Russia long time ago was at one time the wealthiest man alive. You'll see like Augustus Caesar, when he was at his peak, he was the richest. So it's all these rulers that were the dictators of their empire.
Yeah, and apparently one of the things that made him the most money was after he had conquered the majority of his empire, it was sort of all of his money came from trades, because he had, it says major trading centers that had traded in gold and other goods became part of his territory, and that's where he sort of garnered all of his wealth, was from all these trade centers. And that's how, rather than investing, which is what you can do now if you inherit billions of dollars, he just overtook these trading centers, and then they started paying him,
working for him pretty much. But yes, and another thing that contributed to his mass wealth is that Africa is the largest place where gold is mined. So you could have controlled the same amount of people in like ancient Europe, where Rome is and where like Augustus Caesar would have been, but you still wouldn't have controlled the same wealth because of the geographic location of where gold is mined. So he kind of got lucky in a couple aspects, but Joseph was about to say something.
Not only gold, but his country's production produced more than half the world's supply of salt at the time.
Oh yeah, he basically had a monopoly.
So he basically controlled the salt trade back in the 1300s. So.
And on top of that, he had one of the largest armies at the time, which made it easier for him to conquer neighboring countries. I think he had over 200,000 men and like 40,000 archers, which at the time is a massive army.
And it said in a couple different articles, they all said that he funded like he was a big fan of the arts, so he funded schools. He also funded like literature and built libraries and mosques and spent a lot of his money that way. Well, not a lot of his money, but he spent a lot of the money that he spent in that way, which I thought was kind of interesting that someone with that much money wasn't completely just like enveloped in it. And then eventually when he died, his sons inherited all of his money and his empire, and then it just crumbled from there because they couldn't hold it together.
Yeah, it didn't. So I mean, that goes to show that he did have some ruling capabilities, and he was also smart with how he went around with it because it didn't last after him.
Yeah.
But to put some perspective to it, because we were talking about how he was worth 400 billion or whatever, but that was just in stockpiled money, and he was worth far more than that. Because Augustus Caesar was worth where is it? He was worth $4.6 trillion, which is an unimaginable number for us. And Mansa Musa was worth more than that. They just can't, like you said, they can't put a finger on it. So that shows you how rich and powerful he was at his time. How's the live stream going? Is it popping? We got...
It's popping. The one viewer.
Is it Allie or is it Krista?
It's Allie.
Let's go, Allie.
Anyways, so did you either of you have anything else to really add to that, or was it kind of just overview of Mansa and his power?
There was some. I wanted to talk a little bit about his expeditions throughout North Africa, because he started off with a good amount of money, obviously, but he expanded that and what would be considered like a top investment rate because of the amount of return that he got. And I can't find that article that I was referring to. But yeah, he literally had like 8,000 slaves and like thousands of camels just to move his wealth if he was wherever he was going, just the stuff that he would carry on him, thousands and thousands of laborers just to move the weight in gold, which is insane. Like who was I reading? Oh, King Solomon. I was talking to you guys earlier. He took in 25,000 tons of gold every year in taxes. And he doesn't even make the top 10 list. So if that 25,000 tons, what's that? So that's 25,000 times 2,000. I don't even know what that is. 5 million pounds? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how many pounds of gold he brought in just through taxes. So the kings and emperors were just insanely, insanely rich. Like, they didn't even know what to do with it. But, like, half the problem was being so rich that you have to spend your money to protect yourself. So...
One thing I thought was interesting well, I just kind of thought of this. Do you think it's even possible for someone to become that rich now?
No, because we don't tax. We don't tax the way they did back then. Like Donald Trump doesn't get all of our net worth put under his name. So if he did, then he'd clearly be the richest man in the world, because America is the most prosperous nation ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just even as far as
like, I don't think it's possible.
You can't even come. I don't even know if it's possible to break like $1 trillion.
I mean, yeah, like Apple's worth over $1 trillion now, but that never becomes liquid. There's never you don't get $1 trillion in
Well, I mean,
funds.
for what, just like one man to.
Yeah, and like you said, that's a public company, so that's the ownership is shared between millions of people. So I don't think it's possible for anyone to come even close. And that's
the
why,
thing is, he had access to most of it too.
Yeah, he could. Like,
so that would be kind of like you were saying, is Donald Trump. They could say it was Donald Trump's net worth because if he had like access to all of it and he could use it freely, but he can't, so it's obviously not.
Right.
But he was supposedly the richest man because he still could exhaust all of those resources and they were still like liquid to him or nearly.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
The way it works today is your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, and that's your net worth. So, so it's not talking about the cash you have that you can buy stuff with. So, that was a quick little episode just to inform you guys, because I didn't know anything about Musa before I started looking this up.
Yeah, I've never even heard of him. Obviously, you've all heard of Caesar, but
yeah, but I never really thought of him as being such a wealthy
multi-trillionaire still. But yeah, that's.
And with that, we're gonna close. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys.
I didn't even know how to close that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will see you next time on Mic Dropping, and stay tuned.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.